All right, let's try that one more time. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment in the chat if you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. No, I'm not a lip reader either. So I think we're good. I'm getting mixed messages from different audience members. Okay, great. So here we go. We're gonna start again. I just lost a couple minutes of time, so I'm gonna have to make up for that with some sneaky time management skills in this session. No big deal. Wait, there is sound. There's people telling me there's sound. There's people saying there's not sound. I wish I could like pause a live, but I guess you can't. So, and I'm not so good with technology. So I'm just gonna keep rolling, you guys. That's what I'm gonna have to keep doing. All right. So I'm actually gonna take a breath because now I'm flustered. So I want to feel calm. I want to feel at peace. I want to feel excited. I want to lose my frustration. I want to feel at ease. And I want to teach a lesson about time management. Okay. I think we are ready to go. The exercise that I was doing is something that I do. I have a really challenging time when things are out of my control that I don't think I can find a solution for on my own. And so that exercise really helps to ground me. I have a video of it on my YouTube channel, so you can check that out. But I actually do feel much calmer now. So, all right, we're going to pretend like we're just getting started. I'm going to give you guys as much value as I can in the time that we have available now. But today we are here to talk about time management. An Academy member of mine came to me and said, Louise, I'm really struggling here with time management. And do you think you could incorporate that into our curriculum or in anything that you do? And I'm so grateful for that suggestion. So please, if you're listening and have something in your mind that you want to learn about or hear about and you think it's in my wheelhouse, please send me a note, send me a message, and I would love to incorporate it into these lives. That's what they're for. They're for you, not for me. Although I will say the timing is just so perfect of this. When the Academy member came to me with this suggestion, I thought it was great. And in the week that she came to me, I all of a sudden started just having one of those weeks of overwhelm and feeling like I had so many things on my plate, not enough hours in the day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really interesting when the universe kind of has your back. And, somebody wanted me to kind of also pick apart a little bit about, maybe where I could have some improvement in my life. So we're going to kick it off. A whole ton of value for you today. I think I said 3 points, but we're going to kind of get to like 4 or 5 today. So my goal is for you to take away strategic and actionable steps that you can implement into your day today to uncover more time in your day. That is the goal of today's lesson. So the first step or the first key to effective time management: how are you running your mornings? Your morning management, right? So who is starting your day? How are you starting your day? If you look at the stats, they're pretty atrocious. 55% of people check their email within 1 hour of waking up. And 17% of Americans check their email immediately upon waking up. And 1 in 3 millennials check their email as soon as they wake up. And then there's more stats about like certain people that check it in the middle of the night. For example, my husband was up last night apparently from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. because he happened to look at his phone and he happened to see an email that needed actioning, and he lost 90 minutes of sleep. So who's starting your day? Who's controlling your day? Is the email and the person on the other side of that email in your inbox starting your day, or are you starting your day? And this is huge for how the rest of your day and the rest of your productivity is going to flow. So, one of the things that is really important in the morning, obviously, we know exercise is important, right? If there's any way you can get your blood flowing to just some degree in the morning before you kick off the majority of your productivity in a day, that is going to give you a jump start. So maybe there's no time for a full workout, depending on who you are and what your structure looks like. But maybe it's you do 30 seconds of jumping jacks, right? So my whole philosophy is tiny habits lead and compound to big goals. So, 30 seconds of jumping jacks, I don't think anybody could come up with an excuse from a timing perspective why they couldn't fit those in. And that's just going to get your blood flowing and get everything moving for the day. Morning management, obviously, there is a direction that we could take this, which is really I'll be designating an entire episode to, which is the Miracle Morning, originally designed by Hal Elrod. A lot of personal development gurus have their own version of a miracle morning or a morning routine. I have my own personal morning routine, but essentially it's some kind of routine that is intentionally for you, that is including on some level some kind of peaceful meditation, some kind of affirmation for yourself, a visualization technique, exercise, reading, and journaling. So that is for a separate episode, but there is a lot of science that backs if we are able to rise a little bit earlier or reorganize our morning to include those practices, the impact it will have on our day. And again, all of those practices are center focused, right? They're self-focused. We're not allowing the email or the boss or the text message or the Facebook notification or whatever it is to run our morning. We run our mornings. You are the CEO of your own life. So that's mostly what I have to say about morning management. Get your blood flowing first. Have some kind of a morning routine. If you don't have one right now and you're looking where to begin, please message me. We can set up a chat just to kind of talk about how to get things going. And if you'd rather not do that, set your alarm clock 10 minutes earlier tomorrow morning. And in those 10 minutes, do something that is self-focused. Okay? The second piece of effective time management and uncovering more time in your day is an audit. And this is where I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago in one of the lives, the importance of self-awareness, right? So we're not going to go in and make any changes to our current plan or how we're currently running our day if we don't first take the time to audit ourselves and say, okay, what are we actually doing, right? And then we'll determine what kind of change needs to be made. So this is a resource that I have in my library for the Academy. So bear with me on the verbal side. I'm a visual learner, so I prefer to look at the worksheet. But basically what you want to do is take a single day or a single week, whatever feels more manageable for you, and think about all of the items that you have to accomplish during that day. And if you're like me, you already have it on your calendar. Maybe it's all in your head. Either way, this is a visual activity. So you need to write these down in four different categories. So if you have a pen, real quick, just, just divide it into 4 different sections real quick. And the first section is urgent and important. The second category is urgent and not important. The third category is not urgent and important. And the fourth category is not urgent, not important. So when you look at all of the things that either you've done already today, or maybe let's be proactive and look at tomorrow, they will all need to fall into one of those four categories. Okay. So urgent and important means action needs to be taken immediately, right? So urgent and important might not necessarily be something that is helping your productivity in the goals that you're working towards. But if my daughter is sick at school and the school nurse calls and she needs to be picked up, that's urgent and important. That has to happen, right? Urgent and not important. So this is something that is there's a timestamp on it, but maybe does not have the importance, or maybe isn't moving you closer to your goal. So if I have the dry cleaning that needs picking up by 5 o'clock today because I need it for a presentation tomorrow, can I delegate that? So the kind of action here to urgent and not important is delegate, right? Can you delegate it? Not urgent and important. So it might not have the timeline or the timestamp, but it is important and it is getting you closer to your goals. This is game time decision, right? This is for me the hard one. Can you reprioritize it? So a good example for me right now is that I am working on a writing project for something that I am working towards publication, essentially. And it's something that I love to do. And so it's something that always kind of creeps to the top of my list. I allow it, I shouldn't say it does, I allow it to creep to the top of my list, when the reality is that I actually can reprioritize some of it, right? I can maybe take that in a smaller chunk on a daily basis. So that's a good example. Not urgent. I'm just going to go back to the one. That one too is really interesting, you guys, because if you're also in a position where you are trying to discover your passion, discover your purpose, discover your strengths, that one, interestingly enough, is a really good one to take a close look at. Because if it's not urgent, but it's important, it's getting you closer to your goals, and you find yourself kind of leaning into that and always wanting to do that, that's telling you something. That's telling you that that is a strength of yours and something that you probably should be leaning into more. So keep that in mind. Not urgent, not important, reprioritize or delegate, right? I do not need to be looking at social media on my lunch break. I could be listening to a podcast that is going to better me. This is if y'all are in an office environment, this is the chit chat or the water cooler talk with the coworker. This is just a whole slew of things. Do you really have to reorganize your desk drawer, in the middle of the workday? Can that be saved for a later date? These kinds of things are not getting you closer to your goal, and they do not have a timestamp on them. So once you've gone ahead and done that exercise, now you can go ahead and look how many items in your day need reprioritizing, can be delegated, the take action, right? And sometimes the take action are surprises and then can just kind of go away altogether. And then we can work on the third key, which is scheduling and time blocking. And I have kind of a lot of points to get through in this section, mostly because I'm obsessed with it and it's literally how I run my life. Could not be successful without it. So, in terms of scheduling and time blocking specifically, if you are somebody that can work with a calendar, every single thing should be in that calendar. I'm not talking just about appointments with other people. I am literally talking about every minute of that calendar should be allocated to something during your business day. And then outside too. I also put evening activities on mine as well. But in my day, I put I typically calendar on Sundays. So that's when I'm forward thinking for the week. And I will use my audit. I will look at all of the activities that need to be done. And I will first input the non negotiables, right? Because there's just some things that are non negotiable appointments, the urgent and important ones, kind of get all of those in there, right? Then I take a look at my not urgent but important tasks and I go ahead and I plug those in. So if I have a piece of writing that I'm working towards that has a deadline that is far from now, I will plug in maybe 2 to 3 hours in blocks of time on my calendar a week that are allocated to that task. And then I will plug in meal periods for myself. I plug in when I'm having breakfast, when I'm having lunch, when I'm taking a snack. I plug in when I'm taking a break, you guys, because part of this, ability to be effective and productive and save time in our day is also not running ourselves into the ground. So I know that every day I pick my daughter up at the bus at 3:45. So today it's right after the live. And then I usually pick her up from the bus and I don't look at my computer, my emails, anything until 4:30. And then I have about half an hour to wrap up the day. So that's kind of my just like decompress time for that. Once you have everything plugged into your calendar from the audit, I take it a step further and I color code my calendar. So I color code, depending on what industry you're in and what you do for a living, this might change. For me, I color code by revenue producing items. I color code by revenue potential producing items. I color code by personal items, administrative items, and project items. So each of those have a different color. And then what happens is when you take the time to do that for yourself, and once it takes a little bit of time to get it going, but once you get it started, it's super easy to keep it up. Then I can see if I look at a week and everything is green and yellow, I'm golden because that means green and yellow. Green is my revenue and yellow is my potential revenue. That means that the majority of my time spent in a week is on revenue potential producing items. But if I have a week where everything is looking like purple and blue and pink and stuff, I need to evaluate that to be sure that I haven't, missed something. Right. And we're going to have those days, we're going to have those weeks, but the color coding for me tells me that I'm on track. So that's another thing that I do for scheduling and time blocking and color coding. And then I will add that it's important once you're putting these things on the calendar for yourself that aren't appointments that you are, responsible to another human being to show up for. It's important that you ask yourself, like, if you had a phone call with your boss, for example, today at 3:30 p.m., you're going to show up to that call. Like there's pretty much nothing that's going to stop you from showing up to that call, right? Versus if you have put an appointment on your calendar at 3:30 today to write for 30 minutes, and then you're kind of just like, I think I'm going to move that. Like that can just go to tomorrow. Like, why aren't you showing up for yourself in the same way that you would show up for a boss or a coworker? So just think about that. The other thing about scheduling and color blocking and auditing is that if you're new to this, then the great news is that over about a month's period of time, you will start to learn when your productive times of day are. So I do my creative work from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. That's when I do content creation and anything where my mind is just like going, because that's when I'm at my best. I couldn't do content creation at this time, 3:30 in the afternoon, to save my life. It's just not one of my peak performance times for creativity. So over time, you'll start to understand when and where you are most productive and in what areas. And you'll also start to learn when and where you've overwhelmed yourself. So if you find that you keep moving tasks to the next day, it probably means that you're trying to fit in too much on a certain day and you need to reprioritize and maybe go back to that audit. The second, I don't even know what number we're on, you guys, but like, here's another knowledge bomb for you um, that I'm going to share with you is the evening routine. And again, I'm not going to go into a full detail on this. I actually have a mini ebook for free that I'm happy to send you on this that goes through like a full blown evening routine. So it's just as important as the morning routine. You cannot have a successful morning without a successful evening routine. And basically, the idea is that at some point before you turn your technology off and head to bed, you want to be reviewing the next day. So that allows you to, yes, if there are items that didn't get done, it happens to us all. You're moving them to the next day. Maybe you're moving things around based on the experience you had today. And it also gets it out of your mind. So when you do finally shut down and want to spend time with your family or just head to bed, like your mind won't be kind of churning with everything that is coming up in the day tomorrow, because you've already kind of reviewed it and processed it, and that helps to spit it out in a way till tomorrow. So my goal is always to wake up and execute. So when I wake up in the mornings, I have a feeling of game on, let's go, let's do this, because I've already prepared myself for everything that is to come. Protect your calendar. This is really important. I hear a lot of people complain, oh my gosh, can you believe she put this calendar, appointment on my calendar? Oh my gosh, I got pulled into this meeting. These kinds of complaints. And my response is, did you protect your calendar? Right? If you didn't want to have a meeting at 3:30 p.m. on a Thursday, then why didn't you block your calendar? So that's what I do. I have the way that clients and potential clients will connect with me is through an app. It's through a link. They can just make an appointment pretty much anytime. So I make sure that I've blocked off the time that for me where I need to, make sure that I'm being productive. So protect your calendar, protect your travel times, protect your calendar. The next thing that we're going to talk about is one of my favorites, and it works in the workplace. It works in your personal world. Your kids can do it. So I just love, love, love it. And that is the Pomodoro technique. So the Pomodoro technique, I'm not going to reference who created it because I'm not sure, if I'm being honest. But essentially, it's the idea that you work for 25 minutes on and you take a 5-minute break. But it's not that simple. You are working for 25 minutes on one task, and that is it. Your phone is gone. Your glass of water is gone. You have one screen up on your computer. Whatever the task is that you want to be working on, that is it. Get a timer. Most of our computers should have them. I grabbed this from Amazon. It's super fun and it's orange, my color. So it's just 25 minutes. And if I have a project that I want to work on, I will use the Pomodoro technique. Depending on the project, you might want to repeat this cycle a couple times. So you work for 25 minutes on and you take literally a measured timed 5-minute break. Get your water, grab some M&Ms, whatever it is that you want to do, grab some sunlight, and then get right back to it. What you can accomplish using the Pomodoro technique will blow your mind. We as human beings tend to think that we can multitask, and sadly we cannot, yet we still continue to do it. I still continue to do it, right? Like, my goal is to have one window up at a time. Unfortunately, sometimes I don't live up to that, and I have multiple windows at a time. I have my phone buzzing over here, and I've just created so many distractions for myself. And when we really strip it down and focus on one thing at a time for 25 minutes, what you will accomplish will blow your mind. I do use this. I'm just going to do the family note on this. We use this at our house to help our daughter do her laundry. So she'll do her laundry for 25 minutes. And then in her 5-minute break, she gets some kind of like a reward. So I love using it there. I actually use it to do my own laundry because I hate doing laundry. So it's fun to kind of take that, concept and apply it to other areas of your life. And again, that one, when you're talking about saving time in your day, and I talk about gaining 2 hours in your day, Pomodoro 4 times in a row, and then just tell me your experience, because I guarantee you will have just saved yourself 2 hours, guaranteed. So, and then the last thing, guys, before we wrap up here is to just really, you know, I mentioned it earlier, but personal development, break time, meal time, that is all part of your workday. Lunch should not be shoved in your mouth at your desk. Take time to reset, recharge. And then what ends up happening is if you do that, your productivity levels will increase. And then ultimately, you're going to save time. So when I pick my daughter up from the bus and I kind of ground myself outside, I get some natural sunlight. They say looking at a horizon really helps to kind of level your brain. So I look at a horizon, and then I come back, hang out with her for a little bit, and then I do feel recharged. I feel like, okay, I can go upstairs for just the last hour to knock everything out of my day. And it's incredibly important. Personal development is a huge part of your day. It doesn't need to be crammed in the evenings or in the early morning. Learning some of these tools and tricks and learning from some of these influencers is going to help just propel you exponentially faster towards where you want to be. And I can just speak from that from personal experience. When I started my personal development journey, I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know where I was going. I did not have a specific goal in mind, but I knew that it felt right. And so I leaned into it. And I leaned into it starting with the morning routine using Hal Elrod. And 6 months later, before I knew it, I could just feel that my life was starting to change in such a positively drastic way that I continue just to lean in and lean in and lean in. And my life has transformed. So today is not obviously the platform for that story, but you can check it out on my YouTube channel or just reach out to me. I'd be happy to share. But my point is that when we invest in ourselves, it might feel like it's taking time or resources or money, but ultimately it will get you exponentially closer to where you want to be in a much faster amount of time, saving you time in your day. So I apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning. That definitely threw me for a loop, but thank you for your patience in working through that. I hope that you were able to take a lot from today. Just to review everything that we learned about today to save you time in your day, we talked about your morning management and who really is running your day and taking ownership of your morning so that the email or the notification on the other end isn't controlling your morning. We talked about getting your blood flowing first to increase productivity. And then we talked about some kind of a morning routine, which we did not get into detail today. We talked about conducting a time audit. So dividing your tasks and scheduled items into 4 different categories that would either need to take action, need to delegate, need to reprioritize or make a game decision, or need to reprioritize or delegate. And then after conducting that, we talked about scheduling, time blocking, color coding, everything on that calendar that will set you up for success. We talked about the idea that we need to respect ourselves and that we need to show up for ourselves in the same way that we show up for our leaders or a boss or somebody on the other side of the phone. We need to have the same respect for ourselves as human beings. We talked about protecting our calendars and making sure that we're blocking times that we don't want to be taken by somebody else. And we talked a little bit about looking at things the night before, implementing some kind of an evening routine where we're getting ourselves ready for the next day, where all we have to do is just wake up and execute. And we talked about the Pomodoro technique, which is 25 minutes on of extreme intentional single focus work, followed by a 5-minute break, rinse and repeat until you finish the task. And then finally, we talked about the importance of your personal time and personal development, and the idea that if you can block off the time to invest just a little bit into yourself every day, then that will exponentially get you closer to where you need to be. So, thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to hear your success stories. Please send them to me, email, text. I'm here for it all. And I'll see you next week at the Weekly Live. Bye, everyone.